What's up, YouTube? Coffee Noob here with another reacting to Aeternum video. We're going to react to JayOddity today. He's got, what's his new video? New World has 3 huge problems right now. I think it has a lot of problems too, but I am curious to see what he has to say, so let's get to it.
In my opinion, New World has 3 major issues right now that should be addressed as soon as possible. Now, if I'm honest, these issues are sort of all tied together in their own little way, but I think the issues are simply these: gold, balance update frequency, and casual players sort of being a little bit stuck. So
Gold, balanced player, what did he say? And frequency, and low-level characters being stuck. Trying to think about all these. The balanced player in... Hold on, let me go back. What did they say?
Together in their own little way, but I think the issues are simply these: gold, balance update frequency, and casual players sort of being a little bit stuck. So
Okay, well, casual players being stuck, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're playing casually, it's kind of that's just how it is, right? I don't know, like, you're kind of going to be behind all the time because you're not sure, like, if you're casual, everything that's updating, you don't know what's going on, like, by the time you log back in. So I don't know if that's really New World's fault, in my opinion, but the gold for sure. And then the balance player, yeah, can we balance bow? Anyway.
So let me sit down, let's talk about it. Now, one of these issues was discussed by Male Oreo, a fellow YouTuber and Twitch streamer. I'm going to leave a link to his video. His issue is mostly talking about gold and the gold sinks in the game, and then the raw gold generation. I just want to...
The gold sinks in the game are freaking astronomical and absurd. I bought an inductor because I'm stupid, right? I bought an inductor. I didn't know it binds to me immediately. Probably should check it next time. For all of those that didn't buy one yet, or buy anything really that, you know, might be bound to you, make sure you mouse over it, check the tooltip. If you need somebody else to make something for you and it requires that, probably shouldn't buy it like I did. Yeah, that really sucked because I thought I was going to get a mithril pickaxe with every perk that I need so I can mine ore because I love to gather. And then I turn around and I can't give it to my friend to make it for me. It was #1 bullshit.
Point out this video because I am aware of it. Yes, it was 9 days ago, but I wanted to wait a bit before I sort of weighed in. But it does highlight something here, and that is about gold sinks. And the main gold sinks...
Look, I just read the chart that he made himself. It's right there, Azoth Inductor. 25,000 gold. I can't remember how many faction tokens. I think like 75,000 or something. Not a big deal. Like, you can get those pretty easily. But 25,000 gold for anything is kind of absurd. They at least made, obviously, the faction vendor kind of like have a point, because prior to this expansion, let's be honest, really, did anyone buy anything really from there? I can't remember what they sold. They sold like those torch looking things to make the those orbs, right? The hell were they called? You know what I'm talking about, where you go for the trials or whatever to fight like at sirens and stuff. Anyway, yeah, it's like, at least they have a point now, but the amount of money that it costs to buy these things, and then they have cooldowns on them, like the chromatic seals are daily cooldown, Azoth is weekly. That's kind of crazy.
In the game right now, the respecs,
Actually, okay, I'm going to backtrack on that. The cooldown itself is not terrible because that's probably obviously there to, let's say, allow the people that play all day every day to not like go through all the content right away. But so I could see why there's a cooldown, but the cost is just like kind of ridiculous. Unless you're a company that already owns the entire server, like in my server, Castle of Steel. I don't know the company's name, but we have it's all green. It's all Marauders, pretty much. It's absurd. So they get all the money, which is fine. They're good. Like, I'm not mad about it. I don't PvP. I suck at PvP. That's fine. But they are not feeling the pain. You know what I mean?
The Azoth Inductor and the Chromatic Seal. Now, depending on how much you play the game, respecking depends on, you know, like what you're doing. If you only have one build, maybe you're only ever doing M2s, then it probably won't apply. In that,
respec applies to me because I'm constantly switching from dex to strength so I can mine. And then I'm always yelling at my friends when they want to run dungeons with me because I'm so cool and good at the game. Just kidding. But they were like, hey, you want to go run a dungeon, Coffee? I'm like, you know, like, I just respect. So if you want to give me 400 gold so I can respect to play with you guys and then respect back to mining, sure, I'll go with you.
that case, you'd probably want to change your gems, and that's another gold sink. But it's not a raw gold sink because it's actually just going to whoever crafted them or whoever like farmed them. But whatever, right? The main ones are the chromatic seal and Azov inductor for crafting, and these gold sinks are proving very impactful. The price of mats has very much decreased, and the reason it's decreased is, well, one,
I'd argue adamant too. I don't know if he's going to bring it up yet. Obviously, it's my first time watching this, but the cost for adamant, if you want to get abyss piece and make sure you get health on it, is also astronomical. Obviously, that's going to vary by server because I think there's only 2 ways to get it. If I'm not mistaken, you can get it through the aptitude chests in armoring as well as PvP track. But I don't PvP. My friends that do, they're probably, let's not say like they're the best PvPers, but they have put a lot of time into it so they can get the artifacts and they can get the adamant. They have not seen any adamant on their tracks yet. And I don't remember what level they are, but they've done quite a bit of it. So that's kind of annoying too.
there's less people actually going after it, so there is less demand. But 2, people simply cannot afford to buy them. They don't have the gold like they used to anymore. And I think pretty much everybody but the richest people who've got millions of gold are really starting to feel this one. It's very likely if you're playing New World at the minute that your gold is being depleted. Now, gold sinks are fine in theory, and I actually think that this one has been intentional. The amount of gold that's been given to players, and I use the word given, not that it was given freely, they obviously earned it, but the amount of gold that was given to players from wars meant that a lot of that gold wasn't leaving the economy. It was sort of just like circulating and getting passed around. If I'm honest, it was probably getting passed to bots and then probably back to the war players in whatever way you can imagine. So I actually think the gold sink was probably intentional, at least I hope so. But the main problem is actually the raw gold generation. I did a video the other day talking about the main ways of getting gold, and that was basically do your dailies, and then if you want, you could basically go and farm Genesis 25 times a day, which just isn't very fun. And really, one thing that we're going to talk about a little bit in this video,
Yeah, I don't have time to do that every day, nor would I want to.
is the
25
idea
times a
of
day.
getting fun gold. Yeah, you can go out and farm bananas, right? Farm mithril if you can find a node, even though it's not worth very much.
Been there, done that, still doing it. Not farming bananas anymore, but I am farming mithril.
Farm Aracalcum, anything. And yes, you can sell it. But let's say you're
What did he say? Orichalcum? JayOddity, I like you. You know what you're talking about a lot when it comes to this game, but it's not called Orichalcum, it's called Orichalcum.
normal person. You have a job, you come home, spend a bit of time with your family, and you play in the evening. And then what do you want to do? You want to sit down and farm. You basically want to do labor for other people so that you can get gold and then try and enjoy the game. That's just not a fun loop. Now, I do think that the gold sink issue will slow down a little bit. We have stuff like the Winter Convergence Festival where they're going to basically give us some chromatic seals and some Azov inductors. That's very good.
I didn't know that they're going to do that. That's pretty cool. From the dev update, did they mention that? I don't remember, but I do remember them talking about things like my pickaxe that even if you don't roll Abyss, you can at least get a cool looking skin out of it, right? And at least I'll take the chance on getting the pickaxe, rolling Abyss possibly, versus using an Azoth inductor. Right now I have a 25,000 gold paperweight, and I'm not happy about it.
Very well needed. And I do think the rate at which people will be spending will slow down. Once you get the best kind of gear, you've upgraded the artifacts, you might simmer down a little bit. Obviously, if you're trying to upgrade all the artifacts, well, you're in for a bit of pain. But just in general, I think the desire for these will slow down. The desire for crafting slows down, and therefore the gold sinks will also slow down. However, if we get big balance changes maybe every season, then that might be a perfect cycle that creates an issue for some players.
Devs, if you're not watching this, you probably are. JayOddity's a pretty big YouTuber. I think he raises a very good point there. If there's good enough balance changes right every season, that can help keep it going. That's what I was just talking to my friend about actually the other day, because we were talking about having issues like getting gold, and he can make like all the matrices. So like, dude, you need to sell them now, because eventually people will get them, or get all their Abyss stuff, and then the demand for it's going to go down. It's already going down. Like I remember last week, I think the armor matrices were about 5,500 gold on my server. They're at 4.5 now. So,
and it actually nicely leads on to the second point, which is the frequency of balance changes. Now, let's be clear, obviously in an MMO with an ever-changing meta, things are going to get changed. You cannot expect your gear in a game like New World to survive until the next expansion. It's not really realistic. Now, the good thing is always that your gear is sort of holding value anyway. Like if you do have gear score 700 bis, even if the meta changes, it's probably going to be pretty decent gear anyway. But us humans, we want to think that we've got the best that there is. And if you change the balance, then a lot of people
That's human nature. I want to be the best.
follow the meta. And that immediately then creates more gold sinks because people are then immediately recrafting. But the meta is doing something a little bit differently. I think it's perturbing people from playing the game. And what I mean by that is, if the meta is changing quickly, and let's be honest, we know that it is, look at the things that they've changed recently. Shuriken heals got fixed and then nerfed, it had a timer on it, then that timer was changed from 5 seconds to 10 seconds, even though a lot of people sort of thought it was fine at 5 seconds. Ank got changed quite quickly, the stopwatch got changed, there's probably more artifact changes out there. Healers
Like the bow, didn't even come out yet, already nerfed.
got a little bit impacted with the plague crits and disease and stuff like that. That's in turn meant people want either, I forgot if it's invigorated or vigor, I think it's invigorated. People wanted those perks instead to like try and counter this. The blunderbuss took some significant nerfs, which by the way, I do think were deserved. I'm not saying any of these nerfs were wrong. I just
Oh, you're one of those guys, JayOddity? You got owned by people using the blunderbuss, so you want it to get nerfed. Okay. I'm just kidding.
think the intensity of them may have been dialed up a little bit too high. I saw a lot of people in my Twitch chat being like, oh, I just managed to get some Shuriken heals gear, and then they changed it from the 5-second cooldown to the 10-second cooldown, and then with the disease changes, basically sort of like doubly nerfs Shuriken heals, and they're like, well, I mean, that's me done, basically. A fine balance, that's why we use the term balance. If they do it too quickly, people get a little bit fatigued by having to get new gear all the time, and if they do it too slowly, people will get angry because the game might be in a frustrating state.
Not enough content. People complain that it's not enough content, right? Not enough to do.
People will literally just meta build. The amount of Firestaff Blunderbuss enjoys that I saw in like Arena is probably disproportionate to the amount I saw before that build was very strong. There's a reason for that. People start to going towards the meta because they don't want to lose. Pretty simple, really. And it means some people who basically got impacted by these changes that happened last week, they're like, oh, well, Season 4 is actually only, what, 3-4 weeks away? Do you know what? I'll just wait. And if they're waiting, that means there's actually a chance they might just not come back. So they have to be a little bit cautious there. I think they're sort of taking a sledgehammer to the problem rather than just tweaking the dials a little bit.
I think, like, in my case, I'm kind of waiting for Season 4 too, but I'm still playing. I'm just gathering my ass off, you know? Like, I'm trying to get all the mats. I was talking about this with one of my friends too a while back. I was like, you know, next time an expansion comes out, I want to have everything done, all my trade skills done. Yeah, it might go up another 25, 50 points or whatever, right? To max out the skill again. But I want to be ready to go because that's obviously when everything's going to be in the highest demand. You won't have a gold issue then.
I think mid-season patches should probably be tweaking the dials, and then I think the season patches should be where the big balance change happens, and I think they over-tweaked the dials a little bit this time. As I said, maybe hit it with a bit of a sledgehammer. Now, the reason for that, hopefully, is because it's the expansion, and so much changed that they're like, oh, we made some massive oversteps, and we need to walk that back. I'm hoping it's just sort of like a one-off. But part of the problem with doing this is it does highlight the issue about getting BIS. Getting BIS is not quite as easy as they said. And if you wonder what I mean by BIS or BIS, it's basically best in slot. So the best items you can get for your
best helmet, your best chest, etc., your best weapon.
Build. They sort of implied it would be easy, and I don't think that's really the case. I think for a lot of people, getting to maybe like 80% power is generally quite quick. Maybe not easy or anything like that, but you can sort of do it even like chest runs, M1s, M2s. You can sort of get there to be pretty strong, high gear score, mostly decent perks. But
I'd argue that's where I'm at right now. And again, I think the reason that it's so hard is because pretty much the craft mod that's sought for your BIS is Adamant, which gives you the health perk on your armor. That's like the best perk you want to get, right? If you're going to roll something or perfectly craft something. It's just absurd. Yeah. Like, to get it, it sucks.
But getting the best in slot, well, that's a lot of effort and a lot of gold. That's crafting, that's upgrading named items, etc. So
I'm only 80, 90% like he's saying right now, and I feel fine. I want to get it, but in terms of like the amount of work you have to do to get it, and then just like he said, if things are going to change season 4 anyway, it might not even be worth your time. So I could see what he means with this limbo here. Like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do from now until season 4? And then when the changes come, like, what am I going to do then? It's worth my time.
I don't know if they failed there. I don't know if it's what they want, but they sort of said one thing and it's not quite materialized. And the next part is that this is then hurting casuals even more. I think casuals are the player base that is most hurt by the gold sinks, the Azoth Inductor, and the Chromatic Seal. If I'm honest, casual players should stay away from the Azoth Inductor, so let's not even like think about that. But the
I'm not a casual player by any means. I should have stayed away from that thing too. Holy crap.
Chromatic Seal, with all of those, the ones that you are needed to upgrade those artifacts, all the ones for the named items, all that kind of good stuff. If you do want to craft, you need them. I think the casuals are sort of getting out-golded, basically. They don't have enough gold, and they don't want to get that gold by farming bananas for 4 hours in an evening, because getting gold in New World at the minute is simply not fun. They should put gold behind the daily fun activities.
I will say this, if you are a casual player and you want to get gold, I've been doing this every day. This could maybe be more fun. They have the portal runs, so pay attention to your recruitment channel. The people will be like, oh, running portals, X portal, right? Like you type in X portal so you can get the invite, hopefully, to the raid group. You go to the portals, you get a bunch of caches, right? The what the hell are they called? The major corrupted cache or something. You open 2 of those a day, you get 250 gold from each one. That's 500 gold easy. And then if you do the whole run with people, you'll have about, I want to say, at least 10 chests, maybe even more. So you got almost a week. If you're casually playing, you're just going to log in, hey, to at least get your gold. That's one way to do it. The other right now is during this event with the Turkulon, you can go kill some turkeys. I believe you're allowed 3 bags per day, which give you a random amount of gold. But typically, I want to say on average, you get about 100 gold per bag. So that's another 300 gold. That's not bad, you know? That's just my advice.
Now, I say daily because if you put Outpost Rush gold to like 1,000 gold, okay, what would happen? People would farm it incessantly. Honestly, I could probably, now that I stream on Twitch all day, I could probably do maybe like 16, 20 Outpost Rushes a day. That would be a lot of gold generation. However, somebody can only do maybe like 2, probably, you know, that would be fine for. So they do have to be careful about this, and I'm worried here that I've used the phrase dailies, and I know there are some daily quests already. You do the faction missions, you get the gold from the portals, you get the gold from the named mobs and stuff like that, but I think we can go a little bit further with it and put it behind fun content. They've mentioned that they're going to do a daily bonus for expeditions once the automatic group finder comes in, and I think that's a good start, but I'd like to see this taken a little bit further. Maybe utilize gypsum, because gypsum is basically doing certain tasks and then getting rewarded for it. So why not put a little bit of gold by that? You could put maybe like 500 in the first 2 a day. Just a little bit of something.
I don't know what he means by that, by the first 2 a day. Like the first 2 that you get, it also just comes with gold, or the first 2 that you use. I haven't really been using any because, again, like he said, it's so expensive to get the chromatic seals and everything. And I just have a bunch of gypsum. I just haven't really been using them. So I'm not sure what he means by that, but maybe like as you earn it, because right, there's so many different ways to earn it. Does it just come with a bag of money as well? That'd be nice. That would be nice.
To start with the lower end players here who don't have that much time to play. And I use the phrase lower end. I don't look down on you. I think being a casual is perfectly reasonable and probably the majority of the player base. But
I'm very offended. Kappa.
Ultimately, I don't think farming is what people want to come home from work, speak to their families, spend time with their families, sit down and farm trees. Now, some people will want to do that. Fine. The game should cater to those people, obviously. However, you are sort of competing against bots a lot of the time, but let's ignore that.
It sucks.
You want to get to your computer and do the fun content and then feel like
hey, gathering is fun. My friend gives me crap about it all the time. He's like, oh, here's Noob. He's logging on to New Gatherer. It's fun. Just not when there's bots.
Actually in with a chance of getting best in slot gear.
And it's a waste of time.
Some of you will say casuals should not get best in slot gear. And when I hear that, I hear a little bit of entitlement, to be honest with you. I also hear the fact that you probably don't want casuals to play the game. But the reality is, there's a lot more casuals, I think, than you guys understand. You might...
That, and if you are like gonna... I mean, do you not want the game to succeed? Casuals are, you know, they have to be there, man. And it's like... The player base went up quite a bit from the expansion, but probably, yeah, most of them are casuals, right? So we need them to stay. We need them to enjoy the game. We need them to have fun. I mean, I like the game. I want it to stay running and going. And if people are going to make casuals not even want to play the game. That's a recipe for disaster. That's a good way to end the game, and I don't want that to happen.
I'd say let's reward the person who plays 10 hours a day because they play more. Well, I'd put it to you that if you have 10 people who play 2 hours a night, that's more than the people who play, than one person playing 10 hours. So let's just be a little bit careful with that. You have to cater towards the casuals if you want a decent player base. I don't think anybody can really truly deny that. Very few games cater to just the hardcore. It's possible, and I'm sure there'll be examples, feel free to name them. And if I'm honest, casuals aren't just struggling with gold, they're also struggling with dark matter acquisition. It's very hard for somebody who's playing not that frequently to get a lot of dark.
Like, look at WoW, for example, right? And this is the reason I play New World. Well, one of the main reasons I started playing New World. There's no registration fee. I love that I can be casual if I need to be, and the game's still going to be there. So let's not poo-poo on the casual players for sure. It's do you want to pay $15 a month? Sure, like they can get maybe more stuff done, right? We can have all kinds of updates then. I'm not trying to shell out $15 a month to pay for a game to make it another full-time job. I already have a full-time job.
Matter, which means they're sort of phased out of the game effectively. And as I said, I don't think that's what we want. I want casuals to be an integral key part of the game. I want the hardcore players to be rewarded. I think there should be stuff for the hardcore players. Maybe not the 1 million gold coming from Everfall or something like that. Which,
I mean, I don't know when they're going to do it. They made the Sandworm trial raid, right? I never did it because I took my break during season 2. But that's the high-end hardcore player stuff. I mean, I know they had only one version, and I believe they talked about in the dev meeting, if I'm not mistaken, where they said, "Hey, we're going to kind of step away from making mutated versions of those things." But if they do that, that can make the hardcore player base like happy. Give them fucking challenging as hell dungeons to run. You know, that I liked that personally when I was playing WoW. I liked going into the mythic dungeons and running as high as you can. You know, it's like just keep leveling up. So we have mutator 1 through 3 right now. Maybe allow the people to keep going. I don't know. That's just an example. I know they just went from 10s down to only 3, but whatever. Just do that with the raids whenever they come out. Just allow, have the heroic version, the mythic version, like in WoW, but obviously they would call it something else in this game. I don't know. That's just an idea.
Which, by the way, even though it used to be like 3 million, is probably worth more or worth just as much now because of the gold deflation. The gold is just simply worth more. But the hardcore players should get other things that they might enjoy. Prestige is a classic example. Titles, mount skins, etc. Give them interesting chases, but let the casuals actually get to that best in slot situation. And
it's a good point too. Give them the e-penis stuff, right? Like they show off how good they are because they have these titles that you can only get by doing a certain thing. A lot of people see that, they know that because they're looking at the achievements themselves. If they're an achievement hunter, and they're like, "Holy crap, look at that dude!" Or if you get some really cool ass skin that you only get for doing a certain thing, it's a good idea.
I know some of you will be angry about that, but I sort of feel like the casuals should feel like that they can complete the game, and then the game should move on so that they have to do it again. And the hardcore players will already finish within week 1, probably day 1. Casuals at the minute, I think quite simply, are getting the shaft. Not just with gold, but with dark matter as well. My easy solution to that, as I already mentioned, is the gypsum orbs. Gypsum orbs used to give us umbral shards because that was the main currency. Now they don't give us anything. Why don't we put dark matter behind the gypsum orbs, or put some of it in there? And why don't we put a little bit of gold? You can cap how much you think we should get per day. That would make it a fun reward because then you can do whatever content you enjoy and still get the gold that you want, instead of having to do portals, named enemies, chest runs, faction missions. Obviously, you'd probably have to cap that because people like me, I think I've got like 400 orbs, you know what I mean? I shouldn't be able to just blast all of them.
Cap it because the people that aren't casual would take advantage of it, right? And that would also mess up the economy. So I see what he's saying. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Come out and be a rich boy. Now, there's other issues with the game right now.
You're still giving the opportunity, though, for the casuals to make money, you know, because they're probably not going to be able to go past the cap anyway. So that, yeah, I agree 100%.
Out of gear that's dropping from M3s, other people aren't enjoying the fact that there's not that many BOEs, they're not really making much gold from that. There's all kinds of stuff, it's all sort of intertwined, but for me, these are the 3 key areas. The gold sinks are quite significant for all the players. The balance updates are perhaps a little bit too strong and a little bit too frequent at the moment. That's not to say don't give us balance, because we desperately need balance. We just need it at a key speed. Hit it once mid-season, hit it big at the end of the season.
I like this. See, he's not just saying what the problem is, but not offering a solution. What's the saying? Like, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Exactly. Like he's at least giving them ideas. So this is great.
Or the
And I agree with him.
And give gold to casual players in a fun way. Don't expect them to farm. Not that they've said that they expect them to farm, but if you guys say, oh, it's easy to make gold as a casual, you just have to go and farm for like 5 hours. That's not an enjoyable way. And some of you will be like, oh, you can do it economy-wise, go at the trading post and try and learn how to flip things. Yeah, well, that's not a casual thing either, because you then need to understand the value of items. There's no fun way to make gold in New World at a significant level. And I think that needs to change. What you should do, if you want to support me, then becoming a Patreon is truly the best way. Or come and discuss this with me on Twitch. I stream 6 days a week. Other than that, I hope you have a truly most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.
Hell yeah. Do like and subscribe to JayOddity, guys. He's a really good YouTuber. I've watched his streams quite a bit already. Yeah, so go follow him on Twitch. Go subscribe on YouTube. But also subscribe to this channel, Reacting to Aeternum, if you enjoyed the content. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you agree with him? Do you disagree with him? If so, why? Again, I think he made a lot of valid points. And again, he offered solutions at least. There's a lot of people that complain. And then you're like, okay, well, what would you do? What would you change? Crickets. Nothing. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to have an opinion on something, you should at least have an argument as to why and like how to fix it, right? So anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, follow, leave comments, all that cool stuff. And that's it. I'm going to try to stop saying again, like somebody said to me the other day, which I appreciate. And hopefully we looked at the camera enough. Guys, thank you so much. Noobs out.